No, I mean that plays a role as well. But for Vietnamese, it's like that's how a lot of people. That's why a lot of people like the Vietnamese, like the Cuban Revolution was conducted against a
You know, somehow, I don't know what it is, you'll have to explain it, but the Vietnamese community loves me and I love them. You know?
I can explain it. I mean, the major chunks of the Vietnamese diaspora came here as collaborators of the South Vietnamese, like incredibly right-wing government. A lot of the older Vietnamese aunties and uncles are super right-wing in a similar capacity to a lot of the Cuban population, for example. I had international Vietnamese roommates in college who said they were scared of American Vietnamese because of how right-wing and anti-communist they are. Yeah, because they didn't go to, no, they don't give a about that. What are you talking about? Hella Vietnamese Americans that are descendants of like, that are either direct descendants or, dude, a lot of, okay, guys, here's how this works, okay? That's not even true for this area. Where he is voted for Biden by 81% and is a heavily Viet area. Yeah, I'm talking about older Vietnamese voters in general. My parents are Vietnamese conservatives. There you go. Okay. Couple reasons. One, Donald Trump's strong anti-China sentiment. Okay. Donald Trump's strong anti-China sentiment is part of the reason why even Vietnamese people in Vietnam like Donald Trump to a certain degree. That's number one. Number two, a lot of the older Vietnamese population are either one generation removed or directly from the same generation of the people who escaped Vietnam, South Vietnam specifically, as they were collaborators of the South Vietnamese government, the puppet state that America created in South Vietnam that was right-wing. Okay? Their children, just like white people, just like every other group of people in this country, are going to oftentimes resemble the politics of their parents. I'm a lefty with Cuban family, but I don't like the narrative that they're U.S. collaborators. They left for a better life, but were brain broken by their hatred for Fidel, not a love for Batista, U.S. imperialism. No, I mean, that plays a role as well. But for Vietnamese, it's like, that's how a lot of people, that's why a lot of people, like the Vietnamese, like the Cuban Revolution was conducted against a dictatorship that was still Cuban. The Vietnamese was fought against the United States of America. There's a little bit of a difference there. Yeah, I hate your narrative, them being collaborators. In my opinion, as an Asian American, you're throwing a dangerous narrative. Wait, what the f are you talking about? Collaborators with the Americans, ass, not collaborators with the Viet Cong. Hello? You asked me why there's so many conservatives. I'm telling you why, in this group, at least. But in many respects, a lot of the people that are allowed to come to the United States of America, which is a very difficult task to begin with, will oftentimes have, depending on how close they are to the original group of people that came in, will oftentimes be pro-America. It's also not just like the collaborative aspect in general. It also is are the Vietnamese Latino? Yes. Vietnam, absolutely a part of the global Latina belt. But to say they're all collaborators pictures them in a bad light. Collaborators to America. What are you talking about? To America. Okay. It's the same principle behind a lot of the Venezuelans that originally were leaving, escaping the Maduro administration. There's a reason why Venezuelans got TPS, temporary protected status, from the American government. That was a play in a similar vein to the Cuban diaspora population. It was their ideological posture early on against the Maduro regime. I don't know why you're getting mad at this. It's a part of American foreign policy. This is how it works. I think Chatter thinks you're asserting that all Vietnamese are hardline MAGA Trumpers. Of course not. There is always going to be a generational divide regardless. I'm just explaining why there is an outsized population of older Vietnamese voters that happen to swing conservative. Diaspora populations oftentimes are incredibly conservative regardless, like socially conservative in other ways. Like, I mean, like there is no similar, there is a kind of a similarity with like the Turkish diaspora in Germany, right? They're not pro-German, but in terms of like Turkish politics, which they participate in, they're hyper reactionary. Now, the reason for that is different than like the Vietnamese population. It's not like the Germans that came, the Turks that went to Germany were like collaborators and like Germany was invading Turkey or something. That's not how that worked. But diaspora populations do also have a tendency to be more right wing than the national population. How do you think Jews missed out on becoming so conservative? Do we send all our wackos to Israel? That is kind of interesting. I think it's because Jews have been around in the United States of America for like a lot longer. So we're talking like so many generations. Like they've been. So here's how it works. Okay, here's how it works. By the third generation, you often have a tendency to completely assimilate. Like not even often, like every single immigrant population has come here originally. By the third generation is just American, indistinguishable, same educational outcomes, yada, yada, yada. Okay. By second generation, you've actually picked up a lot of that as well. Like a lot of American culture, American attitudes, American outcomes with the rest of the population. And obviously every single diaspora population is different from one another in terms of like what they care about. But overall, I think that they're like Jewish voters in general have been like very progressive in the way that they vote for almost the damn near entirety of their existence on U.S. soil. It probably has a lot to do with Jewish history and Jewish culture. Israel, in that regard, is actually unique. Zionism, in that regard, is literally antithetical to Jewish history, Jewish culture, Jewish resistance, and revolutionary sentiment from Jews in general. Like it's directly, diametrically the opposite of how Jews have carried themselves, seen themselves, presented themselves throughout history. That makes sense. I'm a fourth, third gen, also Jewish Southerner, so I'm part of the rare swing state Jew. Me and my fam are super progressive. Well, being super progressive while also being a Jewish American is not unique, though, for the record. It's like, I think it's like 76% of American Jews that vote consistently for the Democratic Party. I'm an anti-Zionist Jew, and you're 100% correct on that. A lot of Zionist Jews I know are progressive on everything except Israel. Yeah. Is the Democratic Party progressive? No, but in terms of like analyzing American politics, especially from a historical framework, we're talking about like, what is the more progressive option here? Okay. That's it. Like you're not wrong, but anyway, let's continue.
Special. In Florida, we go down, we have large groups of people, always dressed perfectly.
Also, yeah.
Red and silver, and I said, you're the most beautiful.
Let's get back to the Vietnamese community in Virginia.
Dressers I've ever seen. But it's a great honor to be with you, and congratulations on your success. Tremendously successful woman, right? So, and it's really an honor to be with you. Thank you. And we're going to be with this man. This is a great gentleman. I love his name, Hung Kao. I love that name. And that name alone should get you elected, right? Yes, sir. More importantly, actually, he's tremendous. Primary campaign, I endorsed him very early, and he did very well. And we think he's got a very good chance of winning for the Senate. And I really believe it. I hope your community gets out and really supports him like 100%, because you can win. You can win, definitely win. And we're looking to win the state, and I think we will win the state. We're looking at polls that are showing us with a lead in the state, which is traditionally not necessarily for Republicans, but I'm not the average Republican.
Exactly, sir.
And neither are you. And so, please, would you like to say a few words?
Dạ, xin chào quý vị. Cảm ơn quý vị tới đây bữa nay. Không thể gọi hãy represent người Mỹ gốc Việt. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. I'm so honored to represent the Vietnamese American community. Next year is the 50th anniversary of the fall of Saigon, and we'll have the first Vietnamese American U.S. Senator on the anniversary. So thank you for President.
And you know what you just...
Bro said the fall of Saigon. I should have just let this video run instead of literally listening to chirping chatters being like, excuse me. Like, I should have just let the next 2 minutes on this video run instead of trying to address chatters about like Vietnamese diaspora, their allegiances to the South Vietnamese government, the far right South Vietnamese government, how they escaped Vietnam and how they were collaborators. Why did I do all of that when he just said it?
What you said is actually very important, the first, and you should be the first. And it's time that you had somebody. So I hope your community gets out there 100%. You have a big community here. And thank you very much. A real honor. Now I'm going to buy something. They're going to show me something. I'm going to buy something beautiful. I don't know what it is. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it. All right.
I love you.
Hello, everybody. Oh, there they are. They're the important ones. They're the ones that make the food.
Please, for the love of God, please clarify to chatters. There's a huge divide between younger Vietnamese and older gen. Yeah, for sure. I did.
President Trump, will you debate?
Never give up.
Say it.
Will you still use in the ABC debate?
Well, you know, I watched this weekend, and it's the worst of all networks.
We watched this part
Other-
already.
You know, I won because I've heard them all from you. I hear them every other side. As an example, today we had a celebration of some great people, some great people who passed away, who were in the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, Afghanistan, because we had an incompetent president with
I don't think
incompetent
anybody
people
cares about
leading it,
this.
and every one of those people should have been fired. He never fires anybody. Those generals, Milley, and every one of them should have been fired. They took the military out first. If I asked, do we have any children in the room? Because if I asked a child, who should go first? They would say everything but the military. They took the military out first, and then it was a bloodbath, and it was a horrible thing. It was a horrible thing. And I just went to Arlington Cemetery, and you saw a ceremony with the parents, the sisters in one case, brothers in another case, and these are people that should have never been. And when you see the fact that nobody's mentioning Afghanistan, no, this is the third year. This is, I hate to even call it an anniversary, because I don't like the word anniversary in this case, but this is the third year of that tragic event. And because of that event, we did so badly that Russia went in and invaded Ukraine. Israel was attacked, as you know, on October 7th. We have, people don't respect us. They don't respect us anymore as a country. And where is our president? We don't even have a president. We have a person running who's incompetent, and we have a president who's not even around. He went to California for a vacation.
Bro doesn't know how to read the room, bro. He's like, we have a person running. He's about to be like, wait a minute, is that who we're supposed to be voting for? There's like a 70-year-old Vietnamese grandpa that just went, wait, maybe I'm voting for the wrong ticket.
Because they threw him essentially out of the party. And then he came back home and I said, oh, is he going to go to the White House? No, he went to Delaware to take another vacation. And you got Russia over there with like nuclear threats. We got to have a president. We got to have a real president that's respected. So as to your question, I think it's disgraceful. And I think ABC is a disgrace. I think having Donna
In Chicago, a prominent Vietnamese restaurant took part in January 6th and was successfully sued for not paying their employees. It's making sense.
Brazil sitting on that panel, and she's the one that gave the answers and the questions to Hillary Clinton before a debate. I think ABC is really should be shut out. I'd much rather do it on NBC. I'd much rather do it on CBS, frankly. I think CBS is very unfair, but the best of the group. And certainly I'd do it on Fox. I'd even do it on CNN. I thought CNN treated us very fairly the last time. I think Jake Tapper was very fair, and Dana Bash was very fair. But when I watched this interview of Tom Cotton, fortunately he's a total pro, he knows what he's doing. And then when I watched the roundtable after that, I said the hostility is crazy. So we're thinking about it. We're thinking about it. They also want to change the rules. You know, the deal was we keep the same rules. Now all of a sudden they want to make a change in the rules because she can't answer questions. Why doesn't she do a couple of question answer? Why doesn't she do something like I'm doing right now? She can't talk. We can't have another dummy as a president, okay? We cannot have a dummy. And the people from Vietnam agree with that, okay?
President Trump, would you want the microphones muted in the debate whenever you're not speaking?
We agreed to the same rules. I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. I'd rather have it probably on, but the agreement was that it would be the same as it was last time. In that case, it was muted. I didn't like it the last.
Bro, the Vietnamese diaspora can maintain whatever political positions they want to maintain, okay? As long as I'm getting that steady diet of me, okay? The Australian me that I had was so formative and was so life-changing that I still think about it on a regular basis. I know pho is also good, people say, but I'm telling you right now, okay? I had Me Near the Boys in Australia, and it dramatically altered my life, okay? Oh my God, dude. They can say, do, advocate for whatever the they want to do, all right? If it's perfectly into American taste, oh, literally the closest you get to authentic unless you're in Vietnam itself. But yeah, I gotta go to Vietnam. Noah Colwyn was, he went recently, and he was telling me, like, you have to go. It's incredible. That's what I keep hearing.
Last time, but it worked out fine. I mean, ask Biden how it worked out. It was fine. And I think it should be the same. We agreed to the same rules. Same rules and same specifications. And I think that's probably what it should be. but they're trying to change it. The truth is they're trying to get out of it because she doesn't want to debate. She's not a good debater. She's not a smart person. She doesn't want to debate. But when I looked at the hostility during the weekend, you watch it this week with George Slopadopoulous, and the Vietnamese didn't get that one. You got it, right? Yes, sir. If you didn't get it, I couldn't push it. But no, we want to have fairness. We have to bring fairness back to the country. And we have to have a president. We are the closest to World War III, I believe, that we've ever been right now, right this second. And we have a man that just took a vacation in California. He was on the beach, and he came back today. Where's he going? Delaware. Why? Another vacation. He's going for another week. That's not the Vietnamese. They're hard-working people, aren't they? All right.
President Trump, how are you specifically preparing for the debate versus Harris?
I'm not. Really? I'm not spending a lot of time on it. I think my
Spain colonized Philippines and brought Spanish cooking. France colonized Vietnam, brought French cooking. Britain colonized Malaysia and brought Indian cooking. Okay, to be fair, so you're saying it could have been worse. You're saying that they could have been even worse than they were. You know what I mean? They could have brought British cooking, which I don't know what it would be, really. Boiled chicken.
whole life I've been preparing for a debate. You know, you can go in and you can have all sorts of sessions. Mitt Romney go in and he worked so hard. 4 weeks he locked himself into a log cabin, and then he developed lockjaw. He couldn't speak. I watched other people. I mean, you have to be real. You know, you can't cram knowledge into your head for 30 years of knowledge in 1 week. So, there's a little debate prep, but I've always done it more or less the same way. And you have to know your subject, and I think I know my subject. I think I know it better than anybody. I created the greatest economy in history. We rebuilt the military. We had no wars other than ISIS, which I inherited, and I beat ISIS in 4 weeks. 4 weeks, we rebuilt the military, and then you see they gave away a lot of the stuff that I rebuilt. They gave billions of dollars away to Afghanistan. And in addition to the dead soldiers that we were just celebrating, I mean, great people, we were just celebrating them. And the press won't mention Afghanistan. Do you ever hear them mention it? They don't even talk about it. Afghanistan was tragic for many reasons. Obviously the dead, obviously the wounded, obviously giving away billions of dollars worth of equipment. But it was devastating for one other reason. Because of Afghanistan, it showed our enemies that we're incompetent.
It's so funny he keeps saying this because, the press won't mention Afghanistan. Yeah, because it's irrelevant, man. You used to be the room reader, bro. Who told you this is a good salient narrative to run on? What's going on in Afghanistan currently is gruesome. And we absolutely, the Biden administration has absolutely played a role in its demise. But you're chirping about Biden following your plan of withdrawal that you never had the courage to follow through on. Objectively, it was a good thing. It's so funny to think that it's so funny to think that Russia invaded Ukraine because America pulled out of Afghanistan, as though America still investing in the occupation of Afghanistan would not have made it significantly harder for them to literally reappropriate $52 billion that they were spending in Afghanistan every year directly to Ukraine. It's such a stupid argument, dude. Isn't it even remotely weird that doesn't it strike you as odd that the Afghanistan budget almost entirely went to Ukraine instead of continuing to go to Afghanistan? Just think about it.
That we have an incompetent president, an incompetent vice president, and look, Putin would have never, if I were president, he would have never gone into Ukraine. When he saw Afghanistan, he said, this is a great time, let's go. Because it was the apple of his eye. I know him well, but I always said, Vladimir, you're not doing it. But it was the apple of his eye. When I was gone, and we have this guy that doesn't know he's alive, and when that happened, Afghanistan happened, which was so tragic and so incompetent, Putin said, these people are highly overrated. He would have never gone in. If you didn't have the Afghanistan, he would have never gone in. Okay, thank you. We're making it.
Imagine thinking that these guys give a about Ukraine or the Afghan withdrawal. If he wanted to make a better argument, he could have been like, America should have never pulled out of Vietnam. We pulled out of Afghanistan just like Saigon. And we're going to go back into Vietnam, folks. Believe me. We're going to go back. We're going to bring you back to Vietnam. Vietnamese media is obsessed with Ukraine and generally incredibly right-wing. I mean, I know they're right-wing. I don't think these voters in particular give a... I don't think I don't think American right-wingers just in general give a about the Afghan withdrawal. I think it's just a talking point. It's Trump trying to get people to care about it by reiterating it, but It's not an issue that has a lot of salience or momentum. Don't give a. Because once again, remember, foreign policy is inconsequential and insignificant to the average American, business owner or not. The people that gave up are still in jail from January 6th.
Another stop, we're going to Michigan, and next stop is Michigan. We're going to save the auto industry because we're not going to have an auto industry. They're making all electric cars. They're all going to be made in China, and we're not going to have an auto industry. So we're going to go and save the auto industry. We're going to bring back many plants. We're going to make.
A lot of military guys love ranting about the few helicopters that left behind. How are you an actual military guy and you make that argument? What do you think the American military does when they withdraw? They trash it. It is more costly to ship old, antiquated, dusty-ass equipment than it is to just trash it and leave it behind. Every single military person that actually served knows that. Like, I'm shocked. I've never heard a military person put that forward, like, as an argument. True, and retrofitting helicopters in military is almost as expensive as making new ones. Yeah. We've left so much more behind, dude. We've left so much more behind than Afghanistan historically throughout, like, Iraq and everywhere else. What could the U.S. have done better with the Afghanistan pullout? I think that it should have been a managed pullout. It's not even about, like, the military no longer operating, but they should have definitely not seized and refused to give back the Afghan government's money to the new government that we put in power, and that instead they should have continued not only giving Afghanistan its money back to the tune of billions, but also beyond that, they could have actually set some conditions on how to like how the Afghan government, the Taliban, conducts its domestic affairs, opening up pathways for foreign aid to still come into the country. Like, I think the Afghan withdrawal wasn't bad. I think what was bad is what we did afterwards, which was starve Afghanistan. Ridiculous. Like, we gave them back their government, and then we just off and we abandoned it. We froze their funds, made it harder for them to survive. I mean, hey, someone made out like a bandit in that process, potentially. I mean, I haven't really been paying close attention to Afghan politics as of late, even though apparently the new Taliban government has, like, opened up new restrictions. But someone that's gonna do better in this process overall is China. As an Iraq vet, we definitely leave behind. It's way cheaper to just do that. Yeah, old ass equipment being left behind is like normal process in the old ass military equipment being left behind in the process is like normal process. That's how we do it always. It's as part of it's baked into the cost. Like, the 3-minute ad break is baked into your experience at the top of the hour, and the cost of that is $6 a month. The cost of avoiding that is $6 a month, or free in the form of a Twitch Prime, right? It was literally a week's worth of spending on what that war left behind. 7 days of what it could have cost to continue is a tiny fraction. What? Hypothetically, someone says Israel is a legitimate country and Palestine, of course, also has rights. If someone who says that is a Zionist, I don't know.
Make automobile
Probably.
production bigger than it ever was in this country, and it'll be easy to do. And we're not going to let China build massive auto factories in Mexico, where they're building them right now. They're building massive factories in Mexico, and they think they're going to make cars in Mexico, sell them into us, and we're going to lose all our jobs. Not going to happen. These people that love Vietnam also, they're very smart people, great business people, great successful business people. When they hear that, you understand just instinctively that I'm right.